All right, good morning. Sorry for the delay in starting, but I have some breaking news to share. FEMA just granted us approval to extend the ROE deadline to April 15th, and this is important for you to note for commercial and multifamily residential properties. So FEMA has extended the ROE for commercial and multifamily residential properties. This means condos, apartments, and townhouse property owners will have until April 15th to submit their ROE. Up until this moment, they were not included in the ROE process, and I'm grateful to FEMA for recognizing that we need additional time now that they are going to be allowed to be cleared by the Army Corps. That leads me to this. We are just days away from the critical deadlines for those affected by the Eaton and Palisades fires. As we approach March 31st, I want to ensure that every impacted resident is aware of the federal resources available to help you recover and rebuild your homes, businesses, and your lives. FEMA continues to offer vital assistance, including rental support, temporary housing, home repairs, and compensation for personal property loss. If you have not yet applied, I urge you to do so before the March 31st deadline. This funding can provide much needed relief, but you must act now to secure it. Additionally, the SBA disaster loans are also closing on March 31st. Homeowners and renters can apply for home and personal property loans. You can borrow up to $100,000 to replace or repair personal property such as clothing, furniture, cars, and appliances. Homeowners may apply for up to $500,000 to replace or repair their primary residence. Small businesses and nonprofit organizations can apply for up to $2 million in business physical disaster loans to restore damaged or destroyed real estate, machinery and equipment, inventory, and other essential assets. These programs are here to support you. Please take advantage of them before it is too late. March 31st is also the deadline by when to submit a right of entry, better known as an ROE, form to participate in the Army Corps of Engineers private property debris removal program. It is critical that you submit your opt-in form to preserve your right to participate in this program. If you're uncertain of your plans, submit the form anyway. If you ultimately decide to opt out and handle debris removal on your own, that will be your choice. But once that deadline is gone, you won't have the opportunity to submit. However, all properties must be cleared. And I want to emphasize that. All properties must be cleared, and there will be a deadline to clear them. The Army Corps program has been moving at an unprecedented speed, and I want to express my gratitude for the resources the federal government has provided to our community. When the President came out here, he committed to additional resources, and he has delivered both at the EPA as well as with the Army Corps of Engineers. Never has a debris removal effort moved so quickly. It has been absolutely incredible to witness the great work of the Army Corps and their contractors each and every day. Across the burn areas, over 12,000 parcels are eligible for the Army Corps program. Nearly 9,800 property owners have opted in. Approximately 1,000 have opted out, and roughly 1,200 have yet to return their forms. Reaching those remaining property owners is crucial. Our county's Public Works Department will address in a minute how they're making contact with those remaining property owners. I want to note that 9,800 who have opted in, of the 9,800 who have opted in, more than 900 parcels have received final sign-off, and more than 7,000 right of entry forms are already with the Corps' contractor for clearance. Until now, the private property debris removal program has only applied to single-family residential properties. And that is why the information I gave you in the beginning is so crucial. We have been advocating at the county for Cal OES and FEMA to include commercial properties in the debris removal program. And this is going to allow multi-family commercial properties like condominiums and apartment buildings, along with houses of worship and nonprofit organizations the opportunity to opt in. As we continue to move through the debris removal phase, we must also keep focus on the rebuilding. Yesterday, the governor made a critical announcement that will greatly accelerate the restoration and the modernization of the utilities and infrastructure that serve this community. I want to thank the governor for understanding the critical nature of the infrastructure repair work ahead of us. That work comes with opportunities to pursue undergrounding the electrical infrastructure, expanding municipal sewers to properties on septic, bringing in high-speed fiber backbone lines, and other enhancements. The time is now for us to pursue undergrounding electrical distribution lines in Altadena. When I talk to the residents who have lost everything, they want the permitting process to be smooth, they want to rebuild, and they want us to underground the electrical lines. With this executive order, there is an opportunity to move quickly to do this and minimize impacts and disruption. Finally, on the subject of rebuilding homes, I mentioned at my weekly Altadena community meeting on Monday that our communities deserve clear and transparent answers on the permitting process and timelines. For the Eaton fire rebuild, the Los Angeles County Department of Regional Planning has noted that they've received 132 applications and have approved 23. Of those 23 applications approved by Regional Planning and submitted to Public Works for building permits, only 2 have been approved. Of the 2 permits approved, they are both still pending clearance, one for debris removal and the other for clearances from other departments such as fire. These numbers are simply not acceptable. We must move faster with a sense of urgency. At next Tuesday's Board of Supervisors meeting, I will introduce a motion to cut through the red tape so the county departments can pick up the pace. As I've said before, government must be part of the solution and not the obstacle. I want to thank you for being here today, and I want to introduce Colonel Eric Swenson with the Army Corps of Engineers and personally thank you and your team for the work you've done day in and day out to make this happen. We could not do it without you. Colonel Swenson.
Well, good morning. It's a great day here in Altadena. It's a great day to be in the Corps of Engineers doing this work on behalf of this community. I want to thank Supervisor Barger for your leadership and commitment to helping this community recover. I also want to recognize our partners at the Los Angeles County Department of Public Works, the state of California, FEMA, and the dedicated men and women of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and our contractors who are tirelessly working to clear the way for families to rebuild their homes, their lives, and their livelihoods here in Altadena. We are making steady and significant progress in the wildfire debris removal mission. As of this morning, we have completed operations on 949 properties, with the final sign-offs and debris removal completion reports returned to the county, allowing homeowners to begin that next phase of the recovery. In the Eaton fire-impacted area, that's 546 of the 949 properties have been completed. As of this morning, we had received 7,136 rights of entry forms from the county, 4,223 here in Eaton. And all of those have been sent to our contractor, and we look forward to reaching out to each of those survivors soon to start debris removal on their parcel. We have cleared the visible signs of debris from 1,850 parcels. That's 1,113 here in the Eaton fire impacted area. And those parcels are close to being complete. We just have a few final steps left before we can get the paperwork returned to the county, and for those owners to be able to pull their building permit and start their rebuild. For property owners who have submitted an opt-in right of entry to the county and are wondering when debris removal will begin for your parcel or your property, if we've received your validated right of entry from the county and processed it, you will receive a notification call 3 to 5 days out from when your property is ready for debris removal. If you do not answer, we will leave a voicemail. We will continue to try to contact you. We encourage you to answer your phone when it rings, and especially if it says from a California number. And if nothing else, we ask you to check your voicemails and to return the call as soon as possible. We are trying to schedule over 6,000 parcels here in the Altadena area for debris removal, and the faster we can communicate with you, the survivors, the faster we can get that debris removed from your parcels, and you can move on to the next phase of this recovery. We have now cleared over 3,469 of the EPA deferred properties. Those are the ones that were deferred to us by the EPA due to structural instability, access issues, or safety hazards, and we're making great progress on the remainder of those. For any property owners who have not yet opted in or out of the government-assisted debris removal program, and as we just heard this morning, that includes those who live in multifamily, residentially zoned, residential-type multifamily complexes, I implore you to sign your right of entry, to opt into the program, and to allow us to get out and clear your debris. This program is the safest, fastest, and most cost-effective way to ensure that your property is cleared for rebuilding. And I would recommend you sign up for our program. You will transfer all of the risks onto the Corps of Engineers, which will help me do it more efficiently for this community. For safety. Safety remains our top priority at every step of this process. At nearly 2,000 properties cleared of primary debris or in various stages of the Phase 2 preparing for closeout, we have implemented rigorous dust control measures, hazardous material assessments, and erosion control to protect our workers and, by extension, to protect the community. These precautions are in place to ensure that we are not just removing debris, but doing so in a way that prioritizes the well-being of residents of these great communities impacted by the devastating wildfires that started on January 7th, 2025. In closing, we appreciate your Army Corps of Engineers appreciates the community's continued patience and cooperation as we move forward with these critical recovery efforts. To the families in Altadena who are suffering, I want to thank you for your patience and your resilience. This has been an incredibly difficult journey, but real progress is happening before our eyes. We will continue working with the county, FEMA, the state, and other partners to ensure this community recovers as quickly and safely as possible. If you have questions about the debris removal program, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call our debris call center. We have a hotline set up. The phone number is 213-308-8305. I'll say it one more time, 213-308-8305. We look forward to hearing from you and helping you make this critical decision to opt in to the federal program and have your debris removed as quickly and safely as possible. And with that, I'll be followed by my great colleague from the Department of Public Works, Angela George Moody.
I'm not Angela, but I just got some information to update in real time, and then I'll give the mic to you. We just received another update from FEMA with more good news. All properties, so not just commercial and faith-based, will be given an extension till April 15th to submit their right of entry forms. And I hesitate in saying that only because I want people to do this. It's important for us to get as many properties cleaned as possible and cleared so that we can begin the rebuilding process. We've been given till April 15th. And I believe part of the reason in talking to Public Works staff is that when they talk to homeowners, they are overwhelmed. They are still trying to understand what happened and need time to think clearly. It is an important step toward recovery, not only for your property, but also for your lives. So please, while we have the extension till April 15th, let's do it with a sense of urgency and get this done so that we can rebuild and recover together. Now with that, I will give it to Angela George Moody, Chief Deputy Director, LA County Public Works. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you, Supervisor. I want to say that I am, as the Supervisor stated, I'm Angela George Moody, Chief Deputy Director for the Los Angeles County Department of Public Works. First of all, I want to thank the community of Altadena for your strength and resilience. We know how hard the last few months have been, and we are here to support you every step of the way. With regards to the debris removal program, we received really great news this morning, but I want to reiterate a couple of things. As a resident affected by the wildfires, and I know the supervisor has said this and she means it, you have two choices for managing debris removal on your property. You can either opt in to a government managed cleanup at no direct cost to you, or you can opt out and handle the cleanup yourself by hiring a contractor, securing the necessary permits. April 15th is the new due date, and we're only a couple of weeks away from that. So we have to stress the importance of complying with that date. And if you don't take action by April 15th, you alone will be responsible for managing and paying for the debris removal. Please take advantage of this assistance. If you have questions or you need help, we are here for you. But you have to act now, even with the deadline. The right of entry status to the property owners who have submitted your right of entry forms but haven't completed the process. This message is for you. The county is committed to working with you to finalize your ROE as long as it's submitted by April 15th. You can track the status of your ROE using the database on the recovery.lacounty.gov website. The supervisor talked a lot about the recovery numbers, or the right of entry numbers, excuse me. And I'm not sure if I need to repeat those, but we will tell you that there's 12,000 properties. There's more than 12,000 properties, excuse me, in the debris that could be eligible for the debris removal program. 6,000 of those are in the Altadena area. I'm going to move on to non-residential property owners. For you non-residential property owners, we just heard great news, right? Everybody's like, we have great news. It is great. But this part is especially important. We strongly encourage you to go ahead and submit your right of entry forms now, right now. Our recovery partners have worked really hard in getting that extension, and we want to utilize it. Submitting your right of entry form ensures that your property will be considered for that assistance. If you have questions, this is resources and support, or you need filling out the forms, or it's just a confusing process for you, we've really got you covered. Right of entry and opt-out forms are available again at recovery.lacounty.gov. There's also on our website. If you don't like to utilize the internet, call us. Opt in, the hotline is 1-844-347-3332, 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Opt out, the hotline number is 888-479-7328, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And then we also have in-person assistance at the Disaster Recovery Center, and that's open daily from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I want to touch on something just to make sure everyone is aware of it. It's related to insurance. We've heard a lot of questions about insurance coverage, and let me clear up a little bit of the confusion. If your insurance does not cover debris removal, you're still eligible to participate in the government-sponsored cleanup with no out-of-pocket cost. If your insurance does cover debris removal, the government will still pay the upfront cost. You will never be asked to pay directly by FEMA, the EPA, or the Army Corps. Instead, the county may later request a portion of the remaining insurance proceeds, but only after your home is rebuilt or all debris has been cleared. In closing, I want to once again thank you for helping us keep this recovery process moving forward. Public Works, under the leadership of the supervisor, is here to assist, and we definitely will work on our our rebuild response times. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is the end of our formal presentation. We are joined by two additional individuals that are here to help answer questions. We have Dr. Muntu Davis, Health Officer with the LA County Department of Public Health, and we're also joined by Brandy Richard Thompson, Public Affairs Officer with FEMA. Thank you for joining us. We'll transition now to question and answer with members of the press. We do have a floating microphone. If you'd like to ask a question, please wait for the microphone, introduce yourself, name, and media outlet.
Hi, this is Karen Adams with KNX News. Just for clarification, is it just for right of entry, this deadline extension, or for FEMA assistance?
The FEMA assistance deadline is still March 31st, and right of entry forms have been extended to April 15th.
Thank you. Other questions?
Okay. So look, I've gotten a number of calls from residents, and particularly in this community. And when I received those plethora of calls, which really concerned me, I got a hold of Supervisor Barger's office, and her office jumped right on it. So the question is, or the concern is, some residents were initially thinking that the cleanup was free, and Supervisor Barger's office made that clear it's not. But then again, some residents are saying they're getting checks from their insurance company for upwards of 70 to 80 grand to clean up their property, and they want to hire private firms to do it. And one gentleman told me a firm charged him $50,000 and said the extra $30,000, because he was getting 80 for the cleanup, he could use to clean up his pool and some other work that the Army Corps of Engineers will not do. But he said when that firm tried to go through the permitting process, it was complete hell. So they just gave up. And so in a frustrating way, he went back to the Army Corps of Engineers, and he said when he was contacted by the county, they said, well, we need to see your declaration page for your insurance. He gave it to them. And the county told him, okay, you get 80 grand, we take 80 grand. He was like, whoa, wait a minute. A private firm told me it would only cost me 50. Why are you charging 80? He said, well, we take all of it. That's just the way it's done. So what do you say to residents? I'm just saying this is what some residents have told me.
First of all, Leo, I appreciate you referring those individuals. And when I talked about the permitting process, understand this. We are closely, I'm trusting, but I'm verifying. And this is an example of where this morning I was on a call with Public Works, and I brought up the fact that if they choose to opt out, my biggest concern is that we're going to get contractors up here who are not licensed, who are going to end up taking it up to the Antelope Valley and dumping it in the desert. So I want to make sure that we are ensuring that whoever is opting out is using a licensed contractor. And the response back to me was, Supervisor, we have a process where you can go and get a permit. It should not be difficult to get a permit. And we've got a private property owner over here who's saying it is impossible. That is unacceptable. And what I said, and I will say it again, if you're not part of the solution, get out of the way. We will transfer you out and move you someplace outside of this area. because I am zero tolerant for anyone that's going to get in the way and become bureaucratic. Because I will guarantee you they have a home to go home to each and every night. So it's important for us to follow up on that, and we will. Because I don't want, by not giving the permits, we are providing an opportunity for those that aren't licensed to come in and possibly do the debris removal and not take the debris to a licensed landfill. And that is my greatest, it's an unintended consequence of inefficiencies within the government. So we are on top of it, and I promise you this, it will be zero tolerance for that. Zero. And I hear you loud and clear, and you came to the board meeting, so we'll talk after this.
Yeah, which landfill will allow the private licensed contractor?
And that's the other issue, too, that we're working on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, Brittany Hope with NBCLA. Can someone clarify the exact number of properties here in the Eaton Fire area that have opted in and opted out so far, and how many are still left, and also how many have been successfully cleared out so far? I know sometimes we speak just about Eaton, but both fires together. If we can get those exact numbers.
You want both Eaton and Palisades? Or
Just Eaton for now, I think, is okay. Thank you.
So I think I mentioned the fact that we are approximately 6,000 properties right here in Altadena. The exact number is 5,939. And then the number of properties that have opted out in Eaton, I think we might have to get back to you, but I can tell you right now that the total number within the region is 1,026. That's Eaton and Palisades together, and we'll get you the specific number. Thank you.
We have a question right over. Oh, did you want to add something?
Have it?
You want me to follow up on the number that we've actually cleared? Okay. So we have completed, right? That is all steps of the phase 2 debris removal are complete. And I don't have the exact number for Altadena, but for the Eaton fire impacted area, the vast majority of those properties are in Altadena. The number as of this morning was 546. Now we have completed, we have cleared the visible signs of the debris from an additional about 600 properties, and we're working through the final steps of erosion control, final sign off, hazardous tree removal, trying to get those also to the completed category. But we are making great progress.
Thank you, Colonel. We have a question right over here.
Hi, Tony Briscoe, LA Times. I have a quick question for Colonel Swinson. Was wondering how the Army Corps, just given the vast number of properties, is deciding to prioritize which properties to clear first, and also just given, I think a lot of folks appreciate the lifetime map that show which properties have been cleared. It seems like there's a lot of clean properties next to properties that have yet to be addressed so far. How is the Army Corps taking steps to make sure that clean properties don't get recontaminated by neighboring properties that might not be cleaned?
Okay, so we do debris removal in what we call the wet method. So if a parcel has been cleared, or if you have a standing home and next to it is a damaged home that has to have the debris removed, we spray the property down before we get there with water, and as we do debris removal and we put that fire ash and debris in lined trucks, right? It enters those trucks wet or moist. That keeps any fugitive dust from escaping and keeps it down. We also monitor our progress with maintaining those standards by using individual air monitors, perimeter air monitors, and sensitive site air monitors. And so we check the math, we check those numbers to make sure that our methods are working. And if their methods are not working, then we adjust our methods, add more water, use a different technique, different tool, so that we can keep any fugitive dust from escaping into the air. Now, your first question again was.
How are you guys deciding which properties to prioritize?
Okay.
Is it first come, first serve? Are you guys doing them in general areas?
Yeah, so priority. So the gold standard for the Corps is that once we get an excavator crew into a community, into a neighborhood, it'll just continue to march down the road. And it's in this area, the general priority is we try to start on parcels that are impacted, that are next to or in close proximity to standing homes that are or could be reoccupied. That provides that person whose home was maybe had smoke damage and it's been mediated, but could otherwise move back into their home. It provides them a buffer, so they don't see debris right outside of their window. Right? We want to provide them a buffer, that peace of mind. But what actually happens is we start all of these debris operations, and it's tied to rights of entry. I also can't have idle crews, so I might have to pick up a crew and move it to a different parcel because I have a right of entry. There's also a high prevalence of asbestos in this community, and so many of the properties here in Altadena have to have asbestos abatement. So we get the ROE, we do the asbestos abatement, then it's ready for the debris crew. And so that presents some scheduling issues because I can't do the debris removal unless I've done the other two steps first. And the critical step, as was discussed earlier, is getting the right of entry.
We have a question over here.
Yes, David DeMolay, Foothills Paper. You mentioned authorized landfills, dump sites. Is there a list of those?
Do you have it? I don't have it with me. We don't have it with us, but there is an authorized. It's done through the state, approves who we take the debris to, and so we can get you that list. I know we've talked about it at other press conferences. I just can't think of all the names. So we'll get it for you.
We have one more question over here. Go ahead.
Hi, Brittany again with NBCLA. Can we get a response? We've been doing stories with residents who live near the Altadena Golf Course who are really concerned about the concrete digging that's going to happen there and the metal recycling that's going to happen there, citing not only noise but also possible air quality issues. If we can have a response.
Yeah, so I just want to start by saying the Altadena Golf Course operations that we have there, it's a temporary area we're using to reduce concrete that comes off of, clean concrete that comes off of fire impacted parcels, as well as clean metal that comes off of fire impacted parcels. And so the golf course allows us to make faster turns with our trucks that are leaving parcels in the impacted area, and the golf course is in the impacted area. So it decreases truck traffic leaving the impacted area on our interstates, because we're able to then, the trucks that leave this area heading to a recycling center or a place where we're going to recycle the clean concrete or the metal, we can better load those trucks, maximize our efficiency, which reduces the total number of trucks in the community. And also it allows us to turn our local trucks faster. So instead of driving 30 miles each way or 50 miles each way, we're driving a few miles, depositing the contents of that truck, and then going back out for another load. That will allow us to much more efficiently remove the fire ash and debris, which will enable this community to recover more quickly. So that's what we're doing. We've, just like with private property debris removal and our wet methods and our air monitoring, we are very concerned about our own employees' health and safety, and by extension, by worrying about our own employees' health and safety and mitigating our employees' health and safety, we are by extension mitigating the public health and safety risk to the community. So we're using all of the same best practices that we do for private property debris removal on a parcel. We're applying those in a bigger scale to our operations at the golf course, and we are going to monitor the air quality and ensure that no fugitive dust is getting up, and that any material that is there is coming in clean, is getting quickly reduced, and then getting transported efficiently to a recycling center where it can be re-enter the supply chain and be used for a second life.
I just want to update some information that I provided to you earlier about deadlines. So not only do we have the FEMA deadline for registration as March 31st, but the Small Business Administration assistance that's available to homeowners and renters who lost personal property and homes as a result of the disaster, that deadline is also March 31st. The disaster unemployment assistance deadline is March 31st as well. And then we have extended the right of entry deadline to April 15th. I also want to ensure that you have a little bit more information about the program that Ms. Barger mentioned earlier today. Because it is brand new, you will have a news release that provides you with this information, but we generally do not fund assistance for debris removal for commercial properties. And so what we found with the right of entry forms that were being submitted to the county, they shared those with us. We found that there were individuals who were in residential properties that were a part of that, and they were really concerned about being able to remove the debris. So within about a week, we were able to make a decision based on the authorities that we have within FEMA to look at those and provide them with assistance. That's about 400 to 500 individuals. So we would encourage you to continue to submit those right of entry forms now that the deadline is extended, so that we may determine that there are other folks who need to receive debris removal as well, but we can only do that if you submit a right of entry form. And what we have extended these authorities to provide is debris removal for residential properties, mainly residential properties, and we will review any additional ones on a case-by-case basis. So I just want to make sure that that's clear so that everyone doesn't think that we are now able to do commercial debris removal, because we still are not able to do so. Thanks so much.
Great. We have another question over here.
Hi, I'm Libby with LAist. I'm just curious about numbers. On Wednesday, there was a press briefing where the number was 2,000 property owners that have yet to make a decision, and I think the number I heard today was 1,200. What's to account for the difference? Because the other numbers sounded the same.
Yeah, so it was 2,000 then, but we are aggressively doing outreach to those that have been non-responsive. We actually have case managers who are calling based on public information that we have with regards to contacts, to make sure that we are bringing everyone into the fold and that they are actually able to make a decision before the deadline, which is now April 15th. I can. So 12,048 properties are eligible for debris removal, the debris removal program. 5,939 of those are right here in Altadena. 9,924 right of entries have been submitted. 1,026 properties have opted out. This is throughout all fire areas, the fire areas. And 7,167 ROEs have been transmitted to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, give or take a few. And let me say that because as we stand here, we're continuously getting more and more information, and it's updating. People are filing. They're submitting their forms. So that is as of close of business, or actually me waking up this morning. Maybe I should say it that way. Okay? All right.
I've got one last question, and this is from a resident who just whispered in my ear and is terrified to ask the question himself, and I understand. It's okay. So basically, he wants to hire a private firm to clear his property. Again, this issue is cropping up. He's getting a certain amount of money for cleanup through his insurance, and they have assured him that if he hires a private firm and they don't take it all, he can use the rest to do cleanup that the Army Corps of Engineers is not doing. You know, the Army Corps of Engineers is getting all the crap off the properties, but there's still other cleanup work that needs to be done that they're not covering. But what this gentleman was told by the county was, if you submit your declaration page to us and you use the Army Corps of Engineers, there is no negotiating a price. We just take it all. So he needs clarification along with other residents. Is that how it's working?
When you say take it all, I mean, you in your earlier question, you talked about the fact the Army Corps will not remove pools, for example.
Right.
So that, what is exactly?
Here's the deal. You know, a lot of these folks with insurance, they have extremely high deductibles. So when you tap their insurance, they still have to pay that deductible.
So Leo, you know what I will say?
Yes.
We talked about the extension to April 15th. It's for opting in and opting out. Because either way, and I really want to make this point clear, at some point, all debris removal has to be done. Okay? And end of discussion. It's going to have to be done. So what I would say to that individual is fill out the form, get it in, and call us. I am. I'm gonna answer that because I've got a woman over here who also has a question regarding insurance as well. And what I'm telling you is that as it relates to my understanding, is that if your insurance, you've got $80,000 for cleanup, and we don't touch the pool because the Army Corps doesn't. You can use that $80,000 toward all cleanup outside of what the Army Corps would do, and then the Army Corps will come in and do the debris removal, and then at some point we'll bill against the insurance for whatever is remaining. And if it's zeroed out, if all $80,000 went to mitigation prior to the Army Corps coming in, you're not going to receive a bill. There's no out-of-pocket expense. But I need to make sure that the clarification, one of the things I'm learning, and I learned it from one of the homeowners over here who has insurance and didn't lose her home, is that her insurance company is telling her something entirely different than what we're being told by the Department of Insurance. So we need to get a clarification from the Department of Insurance. To your point about not answering the question, it's equally as frustrating for me because if you talk to, let's say, USAA, they do it different than State Farm. They do it different than farmers. And there's no consistent answer. But it's important for us to get that, and that's why we changed it, because I said at no expense, it's no out-of-pocket. It's an expense, but it's not out-of-pocket for the homeowner. But it's important for them to get a form in one way or the other, and if they want to opt in and then they get the call that we're ready, and they say, I've changed my mind, no harm, no foul, we have it as an opt-out now. But it's important that we get that form either way. Am I missing anything? Yeah.
Okay. I get this question about 36 times a day, so I got my talking points down. So the way the program works, if you opt into the Army Corps of Engineer program, right, there are certain debris is eligible and certain is ineligible. So we take the fire ash and debris, the ash footprint where the property settled to the ground. We take 6 inches of topsoil. We take hazardous trees that have been marked by a certified arborist as being hazardous. We take titled and burned property, boats, trailers, and cars. We don't take fences. We don't take pools, although we will offer to you to drain your pool if we're able to. But we don't take pools. We don't take flat work, patios, and driveways. But those are things that if your insurance company says is eligible debris to include tree stumps, then and you have a debris policy that's specifically for debris in your insurance policy, if you read the county's frequently asked questions, my colleague over here from the county, they are really, really clear on how you can use your debris-specific insurance to cover things that the Corps doesn't do. This is the best program that probably the federal government offers in a disaster, because I come and take all of the eligible debris and whatever policy you have, if your insurance company says that's debris, you can use your money for that, and the government collects theirs last. I'm not telling you anything that's not already clearly laid out in both the Insurance Commissioner's webpage for California and the county's frequently asked questions. And the government takes their money last. What I encourage everyone to do is sign up for the right of entry program. Let us come on and take the eligible debris, take pictures of everything that's remaining, contact your insurance company, contact the county, read those frequently asked questions, keep a journal of everything that's on your lot, and then save all of your receipts so that sometime in the future, after rebuild, if you get a bill from the county, the only reason you're getting a bill is because another portion of the law, which is called duplication of benefits. You can't double dip. You can't take two sources of money for the same debris. That's why the county is doing this. It's because of this thing in the law saying you can't double dip, which is the term in law is duplication of benefits. It's all on the county's website. I don't mean to speak for the county, but it is all on the county's website, and I direct people to it every day. If you still have questions, I encourage you to call the county. If you still have questions after you call the county, you can call and talk to me. I'm happy to walk you through where exactly these are on either the California Insurance Commissioner's website or on the county's website, and try to help you interpret that in your specific circumstances.
Thank you, Colonel. We are at the end of our press conference time. We're a little over. Thank you for attending. We will have one-on-one pull-asides if you have additional questions. We also have spokespersons in Spanish available for one-on-one interviews. Thank you.